Monday night edition of the Crash the Pond podcast. Welcome back, everyone. Last time we spoke to you, we had a fun little Q&A type of episode, and this week we will be doing something very similar. We got some good questions on Twitter. People really came through once again. So, Jake, I hope you're ready for this.
I am. And yeah, I mean, these have been fun because it's fun to kind of get the pulse of everyone kind of in the Ducks Twitter sphere and also take all our questions from the Twitch chat and kind of see where everyone's head's at, see what everyone kind of wants to know. I think it also allows you and me to kind of figure out our opinions on things because at the end of the day, this is what people want to hear. It is talk about these types of questions. And so in some ways, these questions can kind of come out of nowhere for us, and it allows us to kind of really do a little bit of a dive and talk through it and figure out and form our own opinions on it as we're going. And I think it's a healthy discussion that ends up happening. And I mean, I think one prime example of that with this podcast is I don't know, maybe a month or two ago when Jack Eichel stuff started coming up. I think both you and I were like, it doesn't really make sense for the Ducks, is I think where you and I were originally at with a couple different things, thinking about how much they would have to give up, everything like that. And I think as time has gone on and you and I really talked it through on the show, I mean, granted, that's obviously been the big topic for everyone. Jack Eichel, he's been the name in the rumor sphere, everything like that for the Ducks. And I think you and I have both settled in on that this is a big move for the Ducks and that you really can't pass up this opportunity. And those are the exact types of conversations that come out of these types of questions. And I think that's the real fun part about this. Also, Hardcore Luchador is already chiming in the Twitch chat asking, what am I wearing? You know, I got to provide a visual element for the people. I got to do that. I'm wearing a very bright and colorful shirt just for you all in the Twitch chat, and same thing in the YouTube. So just for all of you. And I've got Salem sleeping in the background, of course, on a black blanket, so no one can actually see her.
No love for my gray t-shirt. I see how it is.
Yeah, you know, you could have spruced it up with something, Canadians.
Yeah, not after tonight's game.
Yeah, do you even want to talk about it, or you just want to keep on moving?
Um, I mean, I'm not really freaking out. The Canadians lost 5-1 to Tampa Bay. It was a pretty boring game, I think, especially if you're like a neutral fan. They didn't get any offense going, really. They kind of got their asses handed to them, to be honest. But that's the beauty of the playoffs, is it's just one game. They lost game one against Vegas. Didn't look awesome in that game. Had, I think, a better stretches against Vegas in game one, but you just take it one game at a time. And if they can get a split in Tampa Bay, that's fine. And if they don't, well, they still go back to Montreal and have an opportunity to tie it up at home. So
yeah, I mean, what's the old saying? You're not in trouble until you lose a game at home.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I will say though, like, this was not an encouraging start, just
No.
because they didn't show anything. They didn't show any kind of little opening that they may have. And that's something that they did do against Vegas. But the great thing about playoff series is that they can turn very quickly, and there's not really any such thing as like momentum game to game. Each game is its own chess match, and I'm
Yep.
sure there will be adjustments
Yeah.
from both sides.
I think I don't remember who it was on the US feed, but someone mentioned that the last 3 or 4 cups, the cup winner actually lost game one. So
Yeah, I mean, the last time the Canadians won the Stanley Cup, they lost game one to LA Kings.
yeah, so
So there you go.
it's not this kind of end of the day or end of the world type of situation. So
Yeah.
changing the topic slightly, well, not even slightly, massive topic change right now. Before we get into questions, I
Uh-oh.
want to get your opinion on this. This is not hockey related. This is just me completely pro chaos, pro wild card, just going for it. So yesterday, you and I had a beer league game, obviously. That is the reason why this is on Monday as compared to Sunday. And by the way, moving forward, we are planning to move the podcast to Mondays. After this week, I think we're going to take a couple weeks off and come back in a couple weeks, just for everyone out there wondering what our upcoming schedule is going to be. But the pod is going to be moving from Sundays to Mondays. But afterwards, I decided to give myself a little bit of a cheat meal and went to In-N-Out in honor of you. But
Nice.
what's your opinion on cinnamon rolls?
What? At In-N-Out?
No. Just so the reason I bring this up is after In-N-Out,
What's the correlation here?
after I had In-N-Out, I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna continue this, and I had a sweet tooth.
Wow.
There was a place right by my apartment that is a gourmet cinnamon roll place. It just opened, and I've only ever had like Cinnabon or these places. They're just cinnamon rolls, like that's what it is. This place you can add. The one I ended up getting was called the Cookie Monster. It had cookie dough on it, chocolate drizzle, cream cheese frosting, and chocolate chips.
Uh-huh.
I am
Okay.
I am someone very much all about the cinnamon roll. This was too much. It was too
Yeah,
much.
that sounds like a lot. That sounds like all of those things are good, but when put together, it might just not be the
Yeah,
right
it
mix.
was one of those things where I got like halfway through it and I was like, I just want the cream cheese frosting and just cut off the bottom of the cinnamon roll just so it's a cinnamon roll and the cream cheese frosting.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not a huge cinnamon roll fan, but I mean, I'm just not a big cinnamon guy to begin with. And that's all I'll say. I'm not gonna go further
Wow.
because
I
anytime I express an opinion on these matters on this show,
but
there's typically a lot of
by the
backlash.
way, I'm just getting shamed in the chat. Extra Time FC saying oxymoron gourmet cinnamon roll. Hardcore
Yeah.
Luchador saying I gained 10 pounds hearing that. And Science Cat 108, who's Jess, who plays on our beer league team with us, says, Jake, you gained back all the calories you wore off from our game.
Yeah, especially because we only had two forward lines. So,
I
I
mean,
mean,
we also only had 3D. Sorry, Jess.
you had some wiggle room there
Yeah.
to bring on the calories.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my complete wild card of what's your opinion on cinnamon rolls? Although I did realize, so there's another really good cinnamon roll place on right by me, but called Sweet Jill's, classic place in Long Beach, things like that. But I realized my issue there is it's vanilla icing and not cream cheese frosting, and I realized that last night.
What are these like requirements? This is so
Cream cheese
niche.
frosting is where it's at.
I don't know.
Cream
I
cheese
don't know.
frosting is like vanilla is fine, but if you get a cinnamon roll with cream cheese frosting, that's heaven right there.
The only
That's
place
heaven.
cream cheese should go is on bagels. That's it.
Classic
That's
Nomad is asking, is this the breakfast food podcast? I mean, we could do a whole episode on food, honestly. And
breakfast food.
Felix would
Yeah.
just, well, I mean, it would be a very weird podcast because I would not discuss eggs at all.
Well, that's the problem. If you don't like eggs, I feel like you're not,
My
you
my
don't have the right, you don't have the right to discuss breakfast
my
if you don't like
breakfast
eggs.
opinions is all about sweet stuff.
Yeah, which is basically not even breakfast, it's dessert. So,
I mean, pancakes are breakfast.
yeah, I mean, that's true. Anyway,
Donuts breakfast. Oh, DB Lowry says, Felix, what do you hate more, cinnamon rolls or Swedes?
what is this narrative that I don't like Swedes?
I have no
What the heck
idea,
is,
but I'm all about pushing this narrative.
oh, is it because of my fair and balanced Jacob Larson critiques in the past?
Potentially.
Okay, I think that's what it is. Yeah, that's a bit of a part to whole fallacy there. Just because I'm not a big fan of Jacob Larsson's game doesn't mean I hate the country of Sweden and all its inhabitants. So, gonna push back on that a little bit.
Yeah, and Hardcore Luchador, by the way, is asking how our beer league game went. We lost 4-1. It happens. First game back.
Yeah, the expected goal total was not pretty.
No, the other team seemed like they were in better shape than we were.
It seemed they were like,
Yes,
yeah,
and
they were.
They had less players than us and skated around us, so it happens. You know,
It wasn't a great first game back.
We're
But
getting our sea legs back.
yeah, we're like the Ducks. We came into the first week of the season with high hopes,
Hey, we had a
having
1-0
Isaac
lead.
Lundestrom on the wing with
We had
Ryan
a 1-0
Getzlaf.
lead.
Yeah, we had a lead, but then the legs started to give out, and the other team started to pick up the pace, and that was kind of it.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, so you want to just start jumping into questions or any other random things that you want to bring up?
No, I am actually excited to talk Ducks just because there really hasn't been a whole lot of news. There hasn't been a whole lot to kind of break down news wise. So it's going to be nice to kind of let the brain go to work here and see what we can come up answers wise to these questions.
Yeah. By the way, Extra Time FC, the In-N-Out and Cinnamon Roll was post-game, not pre-game. I would not have that pre-game because I understand that would be an awful decision.
I had a California burrito post game with two margaritas.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, alcohol followed by after a hockey game where you get dehydrated, far more efficient. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
You get more bang for your buck.
I just have people from our team in our Twitch chat now because Dan Elder's here also tell essentially responding to text messages I sent him in our Twitch chat. This is where things have gone.
Yeah,
Hi, Dan.
this is definitely the dog days of summer
Yeah, exactly.
for the
The
pod.
the draft hasn't happened yet. The expansion draft hasn't happened.
Nothing is happening. No
uh,
Jack Eichel trade.
all right. So Pandaloo asked, and this is going to be not hockey, and then we'll start getting into hockey. Who will win the Euro 2020? So today's actual matches for the Euros were really, really fun.
Well, one major contender got knocked out today in
Yeah.
France.
I mean,
So
another one did in Croatia.
yeah, and so
Croatia, France was the World Cup final.
yeah, I mean, Croatia was a bit of a story, bit of a Cinderella story in that final.
Sure.
I
But
think England should have beat them, but yeah.
who do you think will win?
Well, out of the remaining teams, I think. I mean, do I just go like boring take and say Belgium?
I'll let you do. I'll let you take the first pick. I can't pick the same team.
Okay, well, I think it's going to be Belgium. I mean, it could be Germany. I'll go Belgium or Germany.
All right, I'm gonna go because you took Belgium, which is the one I would take. I'm gonna go with England.
Really?
I'm gonna go with England. I'm gonna say England beats Germany, and once they beat Germany, they have the confidence to keep on going. This is gonna look really bad. So this podcast is gonna come out tonight, and the England Germany games tomorrow. Like, you definitely went the smart route, picking a team already in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking a team that could very well be out of it all tomorrow, and I look dumb.
I mean, it's definitely a bold take because there's no guarantee that they'll beat Germany. But if they get through, I mean, they play the winner of Sweden, Ukraine, and then on the other side of that bracket, you have Czech and Denmark.
Also, I just realized this came from Mark Pandaloo, who is German. Sorry for picking England.
Hey,
over
I said
Germany.
I said Germany or Belgium, so I've got all my bases covered there.
I'm going with the talent finally comes through for England. Also, this is definitely a completely biased opinion because of Harry Kane.
It's funny because I have a good buddy who's English, and he went on this rant on Saturday. We were having this big debate about who's going to win between England and Germany, and he went on this tirade about how Harry Kane just never delivers for England and shouldn't be on the pitch at key moments. So that's coming from a true fan, not from a Tottenham fan.
As a Tottenham fan, I can tell you Harry Kane is very, very good and should be on the pitch for him because of what he can do and what he can come up with. So
hasn't done it apparently.
Hasn't done it for England, but then again, he's been, I think, in 1 Euro and 1 World Cup, and this is his second Euro. So you don't get that many chances to essentially play for your international team.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's get to an actual Ducks question. So there's another one from Mark.
I think this is the longest we've ever gone on without discussing the Ducks at all. Roughly 15 minutes.
Defend the Nest is who John Broadbent saying, I'm very sun smart. Yes, with my hat. It's definitely not because I just worked out and took a shower, and so my hair's a wreck, and hats are easy for that. So let's go with this question from NHL Hits. Do you believe that trading for Jack Eichel will wrongly make fans and the organization that believe that we are close to contending? I'm worried that Murray will trade for Eichel, then spend big in UFA and extend Raquel Manson. That's a train of thought that we haven't really gone through in terms of on this podcast or really thought through too much. Do you think there's any sort of issue there for the Ducks where maybe they trade for Eichel? And then, I mean, there was the article that came out from Pierre LeBrun, I think it was this past week, that the Ducks and Manson are potentially discussing extension.
Yeah. I guess that's the one news item.
Yeah.
But I guess just to answer the question first, this is actually something that we did bring up, or at least I remember bringing up on the last podcast, and that is a potential fallout of an Eichel trade, is that the Ducks are going to have to trade significant future pieces to acquire him. But then after that, what is going to be their pivot? Is it going to be to double down on this core and try to make the postseason as early as next year? Or is this, we're resetting the team and we're building around a Zegras Eichel 1-2 punch down the middle? And I think both of those things have their pros and cons. So for example, if you pivot to kind of more of the long-term approach, there is going to be some short-term pain. We talked a little bit about our hypothetical lineups on the last show. And even with Eichel in the lineup next year, the Ducks might not be all that good. But if they retain all their free agents, if they try to add some veteran depth on the cheap, then all of a sudden maybe they're a fringe playoff team. Maybe they can win around, but that's you're doubling down on a core that hasn't really delivered at all in the last 3 years. And I'm not sure if you should really make that decision just because you have Jack Eichel. I mean, of course, Jack Eichel does change things and does increase your ceiling, but I don't even think he can drag this core into the postseason. I think that if you're getting Eichel, you should do it to reset your core and to
Yes.
move on from this current
Yes.
core.
I think that there is a concern that Murray will view this as bolstering the current core. And I think that
And I think that that's totally in play, by the way. I don't think that anyone should rule out that possibility because if you read everything that Murray has said and heard everything he said and the reports about wanting to extend Manson, this again just does not seem like a guy who's ready to move on from his veteran players, which has proven to not be the correct choice so far.
yeah.
Let's just put it that
Yeah.
way.
Like extending Manson. I mean, let's just briefly kind of talk about this because this was kind of, I guess, the one newsworthy item from the past week was that piece. And I mean, Manson probably gets what, 4 or 5 years at like 5 mil, 6 mil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
totally
so do
possible.
you want that? I mean, let me just really quickly, I want to be able to look up his actual age when he's going to be a UFA, but I believe he's going to be 30 this year. He
Yeah, he'll
already
be
is.
30.
So he'll be 30 at the time he'll be a UFA. Yeah, he's 29, so he'll be 30. And he's probably going to want a pay raise on his 4.1 mil. So if he's making 4.1, you got to imagine that he's going to want probably maybe 5 times 5. Do you want to pay Josh Manson until he's 35? No.
Well,
I
I
just
think
it's not a smart decision.
totally, and I think the issue with him isn't even the dollar figure, although that's part of it. It's the term. He hasn't been able to stay healthy.
That's a big point.
I mean, the last, three, let's call it 2 seasons, 2.5 seasons, he has really struggled with injuries,
Mm-hmm.
and his play has really waxed and waned. And I just don't really know if that's the kind of guy that you want to commit to long term. I know that Bob Murray really likes his leadership dimension, likes the kind of that edge that he brings on the blue line, but it just hasn't translated to really effective on ice play in recent seasons. And he's not a guy that I think it makes a ton of sense for this group. If the Ducks were in a situation where they had more depth, where they were closer to contending, maybe a Josh Manson makes sense to kind of fill out your blue line
Yeah,
and you're going all in.
100%. 100%.
But for where they're at right now, I just don't think it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I was looking at, and I'm trying to get it up very quickly right now and just put it on the screen for everyone. But I was looking at his WAR timeline from JFresh, and so now it's up on the screen for everyone. But you can see it's like been a subtle trend down. This is just offense and defense, wins above replacement. And you can see it's a trend downward at the last couple seasons with offense and defense. And then if you go to just overall WAR, let me get there real quick and change it. And that one was already on Hampus Lindholm. And look, Lindholm's very good. But you can see it was a slow trend down to a really low point in 18-19. He rebounded slightly in 19-20 to be where he was at in 17-18. But there was another stark kind of push downwards to where he to a similar spot as 18-19. And so even if he falls kind of in between 18-19 and 19-20 and kind of can rebound a little bit, he's still going to be an average defender. He's still going to be in the 50th percentile. And it's that trend is just going to continue downward. As you get past 30 and you start your kind of decline, that's just going to continue.
Well, especially as the injuries accumulate.
Exactly.
Too.
And that's a big part there also. Like, you want to look at the player. Yes, we talk about aging curves a lot and where that is, but a lot of it also has to do with the wear and tear on the player's bodies. The guys that go into a sharper decline typically have some injuries that really take a toll on their body. I think a guy like Kevin Shattenkirk can maybe play a little bit later into his mid-30s as a result of he's kind of not played as physical of game. He doesn't have as much, I think, wear and tear on his body as a result of that, whereas Josh Manson has. And so I would just be very wary of giving up any sort of significant term. And it's not necessarily the cap hit on Manson for me. It's the term that is my bigger concern.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I think for the Ducks, it is interesting to hear this news item just because remember at the trade deadline when we were critical of the fact that the Ducks had not moved on anyone and that they were just kind of, standing pat as other teams were making deals. the big pushback to that was, well, look, they're just waiting for the summer, just waiting until the draft or the expansion draft, and that's when all the trades will come. It's like, well, if they're thinking of extending Manson now, that doesn't really sound like a trade to me. And then after that, I mean, who do you have left? Maybe Lindholm is the guy that they move. Maybe Raquel is still in play, but
And I
it,
mean, here's one thing
you
that
know,
I'm really curious what they're going to do is if you do get a Jack Eichel, what do you then do with Hampus Lindholm? Because
yeah,
we haven't necessarily looked at the long-term cap implication of getting an Eichel, but it adds 10 million cap.
yeah.
And when you're adding that $10 million in cap hit, sure, the Ducks have a lot of space to work with. They should be okay, especially when you're factoring LTIR from Ryan Kessler's deal. But that's going to go away, I think, after next season on the whole. Let me just confirm that. But yes, there's one more season for Kessler. And Hampus Lindholm, is at least going to want probably what, 6.5, 7 million. I've long said his starting point is the Cam Fowler contract and then goes up from there. There's no way to me that he gets less than Cam Fowler got. Like
Well,
if you're looking at
yeah,
comparables and
and
you're
if you
looking,
get
go
if
ahead.
you get Eichel, it does depend who you move out. Because if they move Henrique and they retain the full 50%, it's something like 7.6 million in cap
True,
space.
true.
So, and
But
then with
it still makes it hard to have two guys on your defense at locked up for that long at 6 mil, 6 to 8
oh, I
mil.
I, I agree. I don't know. Like that's the thing. Like there has to be a lot of debating going on within the Ducks organization right now about what direction to go with this. If the reports are accurate, though, it sounds like there might be some agreement at least about the desire for Eichel. But like you're saying, there's a lot of kind of complications that come with that.
Yeah, and the one thing on Manson that I do want to point out for everyone is I don't think he's going to be left exposed in the expansion draft. I've seen a lot of people mention that. There's no way that's happening because of this. You don't talk to a guy about an extension if you're planning on exposing him in the expansion draft. He's an auto
Mm-hmm.
protect. He's not going to get traded before. If he does get traded, it won't be till afterwards. It is kind of
Yeah.
where I'm at. So let's do this one. Hockey Rush says, what do you think the top 4 players are that the Ducks might trade for and the top 4 UFAs they might go after?
Top 4 players that they might trade for.
Yeah, so Eichel's definitely there.
I think Eichel's really the only one because outside of that, I think that their roster is kind of set for next year.
I think Eichel, I think they might want to they might be looking at Reinhart. So this is, who do you think that they might go after? I think the Ducks might go after Reinhart. Not necessarily that they should, but I
Yeah.
could see them doing it. I don't know if they will, but they should be going after Vince Dunn if he's available.
You've been on that hype train for so long.
I have, especially if you can get him for cheap. And I mean, do you think they should go? Do you think they will? Do you think they should go after Connor Garland? That's a name kind of out there.
Yeah, I mean that's a name that's been thrown around. I don't know if I just don't know how aggressive the Ducks really plan on being this summer because to me their roster is like as it is right now, they have their team for next year assuming all the RFAs are back.
Oh, I remember the trade that I want to see them make is take on Louis Eriksson for a first round pick.
Yeah. Yeah, like something like that. That would make sense. But like a trade to bring in a guy to play next season, like actually for your roster, I don't know if that makes a ton of sense for this team.
Yeah,
Like
and
I'm big on the whole for right now, they should either be making trades to sell off player like veteran players or swing for the fences for a star. And there's
yep,
like not really any in between.
yep. Do you think they maybe go after Patrick Laine? That's a name we haven't discussed that much, but do you think they maybe go after him? He's an RFA. Things might not be the best in Columbus for him. I doubt they move him, but if he is available, do you think they go after him?
I think it's possible. I think that there were definitely some rumblings the first time around Patrick Laine got traded that the Ducks had interest in him. And so maybe they revisit that. Maybe though, with Tortorella being gone in Columbus, maybe that bridge is being rebuilt and maybe that there's going to be more harmony there. But if he is available, I would just be curious what it would take to acquire him because I feel like his stock has definitely declined
Yeah,
in the last year or so. And so maybe now with the kind of price it would take or a lowered price, I should say, maybe now it makes sense. I've long been against getting Laine just because I think I don't want to say he's an empty calories kind of player, but he's a guy who's really going to get his own offense. He's going to help your power play, and he's just not going to bring anything at 5-on-5. And so if you can get him for cheap, though, and he's still only 22, maybe then it makes sense. But I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily see that happening. I don't know if after the year he had, if the Ducks are quite as high on him now as they were back then.
And then, so the other part of this question from Hockey Rush was top 4 UFAs they might go after. So I actually have no idea what UFAs they might go after. What they should be doing is signing guys that will take 1-year deals. That are veteran type players that might want to come have a little bit of vacation. I've long said Nick Foligno would be an interesting one, not because I actually think that he provides a lot of value, but I think he has trade value, and I think that's
he definitely does.
Yeah, and so if you can sign him for a year, allow his fan. He's like, hey, come take a vacation in Anaheim. You can be in Orange County for a year, and we'll trade you to a contender at the deadline. And you can kind of help bring the kids along. You can help enjoy Southern California. Various some things. His dad was an assistant coach in Anaheim for a bit with Randy Carlisle. So maybe that I'm very much reaching right now. So
the problem for the Ducks with this class, I mean, it's the same for almost every UFA class, but it's just not really guys that make sense for this current core.
Yeah.
This current timeline. I mean, Ryan Getzlaf, I think he comes back, and that makes sense because you'll probably sign him for a cheap deal. He kind of just fills out your lineup. But outside of that, I don't really see anyone from this draft class. Maybe from the sounds of it, everyone in the league is kicking tires on Dougie Hamilton. So maybe the Ducks are in on that.
Do things change if you are able to move out a bunch of guys and you get Jack Eichel? Let's say you move out Henrique. Let's say you do flip Manson. You do flip Lindholm, you do all this stuff.
Then you've got a roster to kind of fill back out.
Does anything change with UFAs though? To me, I don't know if it necessarily does because of the age bracket a lot of these guys are in.
Well, I think you can look if you move out, if you manage to really flip the roster over and you get Eichel and you have maybe more space to work with, maybe just getting in a couple of guys on hopefully cheap deals. That might make sense just to at least have some kind of structure to this roster, not have it be just like a shell going into next year. Have some guys who can at least contribute, keep some respectability, especially with maybe some compromised depth. So I don't think that would be a terrible move, but you still have to be very cautious there.
Do you think that Taylor Hall would want to play with Jack Eichel again? He's staying in Boston, but
I think he's staying in Boston.
That was just a name. Not saying that the Ducks would do that. Not saying he would come here. This is not something I'm saying they will do or is even based in any sort of reality. But it's just like if the Ducks do trade for Eichel, do they start going for it more? Saying we just made this big trade.
Well, yeah,
that is the conversation.
Talking about.
Yeah, no, I know, and I think that is the interesting part of that conversation is looking at a Taylor Hall. Maybe I still don't think I would do that. I would prefer to trade. Taylor Hall's 29 years old.
Well, he's also just going to be too expensive for them.
Yeah, 100%. So
he's gonna go out and get paid. I think he's going to sign with Boston. I think that playoff run really cemented it. But look, that's the benefit of going out and getting an Eichel is that assuming that you're going to have that internal growth from your young players, you can get a little more aggressive because you have more upside than you did previously.
Yeah,
there's something to build on as opposed to this whatever the last 3 years have been.
Yeah. So let's kind of go to these couple of more questions. We got a bunch, so we're just going to keep hitting these as we go. Rossi Biddle at Rossi B, good Tottenham fan from down under. Please correct. I know Rossi, you're in the Twitch chat, so correct me if I'm wrong. If you're not from Australia, maybe I'm misremembering there. But he said, when assessing the Ducks players for the expansion draft, put yourself in the Kraken GM shoes and pick your player. And then also says Zegras versus Eichel. So I think maybe who would be the number one center. And also, why hasn't Jaguar's number been put in the rafters yet? So first part, who would you take from the Ducks if you are, why am I spacing? Ron Francis.
I don't know. I mean, are we sure that the Kraken are this like genius franchise anymore after their first hire behind the bench?
I mean, who knows? We'll see how Dave Haxtell plays out. I mean, he wasn't great in Philadelphia, but I mean, maybe he interviewed well. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that for the Ducks, it's kind of hard to say because I don't know who's going to be available for Seattle. I don't know who they're going to protect.
Let's just go with my article protection list.
Yeah.
So assuming, let me pull that up really quickly again, just so I can
So you
refresh.
had Lundestrom getting protected, I
I
think.
had Lundestrom being protected. I
Uh,
had. Let's assume that they do protect Sam Steele as compared to Max Jones.
okay.
So
Well, you're
here,
you're really taking all the options off the board
yeah,
here.
I'm gonna say they're gonna go 8 skaters. The 8 skater option go Raquel, Terry, Lundestrom, Steele, Lindholm, Manson, Fleury, Fowler.
Okay, so you have Raquel, Terry, Steele,
Lundestrom,
and
Lindholm,
Lundestrom.
Lindholm, Manson, Fleury, Fowler.
Oh, I mean, that doesn't really leave you with a ton of options. So I don't know, actually. I mean, I guess
Do they
so
do
that
they do
so
they take do
Silverberg.
they take a Shattenkirk or a Silverberg or Henrique, or do they target a Max Jones,
I
a
think
Heinen, a Milano, or a Josh Mahura?
so. I honestly I think that for Seattle, I would not be hugely excited about guys like Mahura or Milano, just because I think that they're a little unproven. And Mahura has had flashes, so has Milano, but he's dealt with kind of a really cryptic injury situation. And I think for Seattle, maybe just to kind of keep it things respectable, have a guy to maybe build your branding around. I would maybe think about Adam Henrique.
Yeah,
Why not? I
yeah.
mean,
I
I don't,
mean,
I don't think, I don't think it's a terrible pick for
I
them.
I at the beginning of this, I really didn't expect them to go Henrique or a Shattenkirk. I expected them to probably get a Max Jones, a Sam Steele, depending on who's
I
left
could, I could
available.
see Shattenkirk. I think it's either going to be Shattenkirk or Henrique.
Yeah, I could see it, and I could. The one thing with Henrique is just the term. Shattenkirk, I think, would make more sense because it's lower term, and I think that he, especially if they are analytics friendly and that type of organization. I mean, Shattenkirk's underlying metrics were fine this past year. There were obviously
Yeah,
the penalty issues,
I
which
think that.
we've talked about, but his underlying
Yeah,
numbers were fine. Like he was a good defenseman for the Ducks this year,
the
and
only weird
that
thing
might
with
be a controversial take to a lot of people, but he was.
Yeah, the only weird thing there is that when Shattenkirk signed with the Ducks, there was a lot of, this is where I wanted to be. I'm good friends with Fowler. Like there was a lot of like almost like a homecoming narrative. And I don't know what the Ducks are going to do with him. Uh,
If he gets saved, I mean, there's no way
are,
he's
are they are they going
there's
to
no
try
way.
to not get him taken? Like
Uh,
what is there going to be a side deal there?
If the Ducks make a side deal to protect Kevin Shattenkirk,
I mean,
like
I don't think it's crazy just because there was a lot of I don't want to say fanfare because there's never any fanfare with this franchise, but there was a little bit of a narrative there of, we finally got him. He almost came here the year before. Bob Murray sold me on we're gonna compete. Me and Cam Fowler are great friends. So maybe he was just saying all the right things,
but I
but
also think that been
yeah,
a lot of
things have changed though.
there's
Maybe
been a
things have
lot
changed.
of conversation, even from Shattenkirk himself, of saying his play hasn't been good enough. When I kind of actually disagree with that in a lot of phases.
Well, there were
But
issues with this game.
yeah, and so I think that's one thing you can maybe point to of maybe that would change if there was that original thought that would have changed by now.
Maybe,
Um,
maybe.
Zegras versus Eichel, who will be better? Let's go with that.
Man, that is a hard one.
I think Jack Eichel's the better player.
Yeah, I think right now, as great as Zegras has looked in small samples, you still have to go with Patrick or how was it Patrick Eichel? You still have to go with Jack Eichel. Yeah.
Yeah. And why hasn't Jaguar's number been put in the rafters yet?
I don't know. I mean, there was that question with Korea for many, many years. Uh, maybe do you even think they will retire Jaguar's number? Like, is it even a if or is it a when?
I don't. I mean, I've long been of the opinion Jaguar's one of my favorite Ducks of all time. I would like to see it go up. I would have no issues with it going up, but I don't think it should. Like it's as much as that might suck. I don't know, but to me, a number retirement is a very specific player, and I also am of the opinion Scott Niedermayer's number shouldn't be in the rafters. And
Yeah.
so, from that perspective, I don't think that Jaguar's number should be either. As great as he was, and as much as he was a fantastic goalie, he wasn't the Ryan Getzlaf for this team. He wasn't at that level where, as much as he was great and he was here for a long time, he Conn Smythe winner and Stanley Cup winner. I don't view him in the same light as a Teemu Selanne, a Paul Kariya, a
No.
Getzlaf, a Perry. And
Not
I
a,
think,
not a not a game
and he's
changer.
not a Hall of Famer. And I think that for me is, as much as this might sound weird, I think being a Hall of Famer is of somewhat importance to having your number retired. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
just
that
not
that
Jaguar.
that infallible metric of Hall of Fame selection.
Fair. But I
No,
don't. But I don't
I
think.
agree. I agree
I,
with the sentiment.
I
No,
don't think Jaguar even has sniffed the Hall of Fame and hasn't even been in the
no,
conversation.
no. I don't think he doesn't seem like a guy who'll get in. I mean, he had a great career with the Ducks.
He did.
Definitely the '03 Cup run, uh, winning it in '07. Like he has an argument, but I think I'm more on your side where I'm more of a fan of retiring guys who are like
And
generational talents.
and I think that and I think you don't want to retire so many jerseys where it doesn't become special anymore. And not saying that
Yeah.
that's what the Ducks are doing, and not saying retiring Jaguar would be that, but then you have, what would it be? Four numbers retired in the first 20 years of the franchise or something like that, or once Getzlaf and Perry would
I
be.
mean, realistically, there should only be two,
Right
but
now, yes. There's
I think
realistically in 5 years there should be four numbers retired for this franchise.
so. You think Perry is a lock?
I think Perry's a lock. I think Getzlaf a lock. I mean, Extra Time FC, which is Rossi, is asking what else did he have to do? What is he missing for Jaguar?
Well, I just think he like how many seasons was he one of the, let's say, 5 best at his position? I mean, he had a very good career. Like I agree with you in the sense that if he went up, I don't think it's this big travesty.
No.
Like I said, he has a case, but I think that I'm definitely I like the idea that, hey, this is a young franchise and it's had a cup victory already, but just kind of hanging every number from those runs and having a bunch of numbers retired so early. I think that is a little odd. It just doesn't sit totally perfectly with
Yeah.
me. But if you
I
told me his number was getting retired, it wouldn't be some cardinal sin either.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just
DB Lowry says if Jiggy's not worthy of a jersey retirement, then Perry probably shouldn't be either. I mean, I would be here for an argument against Perry. I just kind of disagree with that. I think winning the Hart is really what solidifies him in that regards, and maybe that's the same conversation with Jaguar winning the Conn Smythe. I guess I just kind of value the regular season award because it's a longer period of time, maybe a little bit more. Maybe that's a miss on my part. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think a jersey retirement and whether it should go up or shouldn't is a very, I guess, in some ways, personal thing.
Yeah, I think Perry was just better for longer.
Yeah. And so, I mean, Perry almost played 1,000 games as a Duck.
I mean, he probably should have.
Yeah, and I guess goaltending's different. Jaguar played almost 447 games as a Duck. To me, in some ways, his number's kind of, I think, an unofficially retired number.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to see a 35 in net for the Ducks, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Perry is a huge lock just because of the way things ended. Like, it's going to take a while for that one.
Yeah, I mean, here's the question: is Perry a Hall of Famer? Because I think that would be the case. If he gets into the Hall of Fame, I think that is a very easy sell if he's Hall of Famer.
I don't know if he's first ballot Hall of Famer.
No, I think he is a Hall of Famer because I think that he's one of 2 players to have won as like essentially every trophy available to him.
Yeah, I think that, in terms of, because it is the Hockey Hall of Fame, not the NHL Hall of Fame. And so from that perspective, he has a very good case. Like, I think he will get in eventually, but I don't know if he's this, like, you got to get him in, first time around.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bad take, but he's just one of those guys who has had some very high highs and he's had a lot of seasons that have just been solid. I think a lot of people soured on him just because of the way his career kind of ended in Anaheim and also the playoff quote unquote failures towards the mid 2010s also soured some people, but he still has a 50 goal season in his name. He still has the international accolades, junior accolades. Like, he's going to be
multiple 30 goal seasons.
He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But in terms of like purely for the Ducks and the number retirement, I mean, I don't know. It's these things seem very political.
I mean, so here, Time brings up a good point. Perry led the Western Conference in goals for a 7-year period. The only reason he wasn't celebrated was because Crosby and Ovi were gods.
Yeah, and I think he gets his number retired after Bob Murray retires.
Yeah.
How about that?
All right. So before we keep going, we got more questions. We're going to still keep rolling and have fun with this. But let's have a word from our sponsor. So, summer's coming and hotter days are just around the corner. Keep cool with the help of our friends at Manscaped, who just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right. the 4.0. Complement your summer grooming routine with a trim from the leaders in male grooming. The sun is shining and calling your name, fellas. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for summer by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP. So, folks, it's time to bundle up with Manscaped, with the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, which, I mean, Felix, you and I both have this. What are your thoughts on this Lawnmower 4.0 on the whole?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I've been using it a lot lately. Been growing back out the facial hair, so got to keep it trim, got to keep it from looking completely insane, caveman style. And so, I mean, that 4000K LED spotlight, so accurate, love it. And with the skin safe technology, I don't get that annoying irritation that some other trimmers may give you. So I am a big fan, especially with that advanced ceramic blade.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned this LED spotlight. That was one thing about the 3.0 that I loved, but the 4.0 actually kind of one-upped itself, where it has the ability to turn off the light. If you're in a brightly lit place, why waste the energy? Why waste the battery on that spotlight?
Yeah.
You can turn it off actually on this one or leave it on depending on what you want. And in addition to that, you also get the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies.
Quickly,
Yes.
for the lawnmower, this is something that I actually realized a while back reading the copy, is that it's waterproof.
Yes.
And so let me just say that comes in handy.
Yes.
I'll just leave it at that.
I am someone who is very hairy on my chest, and shaving it in the shower is much easier than on the ground because it doesn't go everywhere. So having a waterproof body trimmer is very, very important for that.
It's clutch.
And it's great because you can wash it off. You can leave it in the shower. It's absolutely fantastic. And then the Weed Whacker also is waterproof. Did you know that? Is that news to you?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's actually news to me right now.
I don't have as much of a need for the Weed Whacker as you do, though.
Yeah, I've got some nose hair that my wife always brings up. I need to trim. So the Weed Whacker, if you're like me, the Weed Whacker is absolutely perfect and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. And it has proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs. So seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations before heading outside. Use the Crop Preserver Down Under deodorant to keep your game on your game in the heat after a long day of trimming the lawn and whacking the weeds in the summer. Heat boosts your freshness with the Crop Reviver. And Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to this performance package: the boxers and the shed travel bag. Boxers are very nice. I work out in them a lot. They are very comfortable, very good. Probably I'm going to play beer league in them tomorrow. So there you go, folks.
Thanks for letting me know.
There you go. You can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP at manscaped.com. Stay fresh this summer and shine with Manscaped. Thank you so much for Manscaped for supporting the show.
Thank you. Okay. Onward and upward.
Yeah. Now I'm realizing we also have Jess in our Twitch chat, so now I need to actually wear those boxers tomorrow.
Does she want a Weed Whacker? Because I have like 4 of them just sitting in my drawers, because Manscaped sent me extras for some reason.
So yeah, maybe
if you want a free Weed Whacker, let me know. I got you.
Okay. All right, let's get back to our questions. Jess says she's good. All right, Dalton Keys asked at Ducks and Bolts, do you think Bob makes an Eichel deal happen without giving up Zegras, Drysdale, or Gibson? Then if he's able to do that, do the owners give him a contract extension? That's one thing I've kind of been thinking about here. If Murray does pull this off, does that affect his status as the general manager?
I don't know. I just don't know if one deal should erase everything that's come before it, right? Because getting one thing done in isolation is great and will definitely move the franchise forward. But on the flip side, being a great manager and leading a franchise successfully over the long term isn't just about winning a trade. It's about having a long-term strategy. It's about having a vision. It's about having a calculated approach. And to be honest, if we look at how the Ducks have kind of waffled their way through the last 3 years, it hasn't always really seemed that way. So to me, if you're the Samuelis, maybe if next season goes poorly, you just don't fire Murray midway through the season. I don't know, but I don't think it would really change that much for me, especially with Jeff Solomon in tow. It just I don't know. I think if Murray does that, great, and maybe that helps kind of uh, maybe get him some favor back with fans. Maybe the perception of him improves, as he kind of fades into the limelight or into the sunset. But that's not to me. That's not enough to bring him back, just or to extend him just because of that. Now, will they do it? If Eichel comes in, there's excitement and the Ducks push for the playoffs, and they're one of the more fun teams to watch in the NHL. Maybe they give in to that kind of public sentiment, but I still don't see it.
Yeah. All right. I agree with you. Alex Khalifa at Good Guy in Sports asks, will Aiken still be the head coach after next season?
Ooh, good question. Good question, because it's just like a point blank yes or no. I'm gonna go with no.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no also.
I don't think so, because I don't, even with a Jack Eichel in tow, I don't project the Ducks as a playoff team next season. That being said, they are going into a division which is going to be definitely more favorable than this last season, so maybe they have some more wiggle room there. But I think that they are in for at least one more season of pain, of short-term pain, and then they can turn the page. Maybe they extend at Dallas Eakins if some of the young players continue to progress, but I don't know if that's the curve he's being graded on. I mean, if they miss the playoffs again and they're not that close, I just don't see how an ownership group that wants to build excitement around the team with the developments, the OC vibe around Honda Center. I think that they want people to show up to games and they want a winner. And if Dallas Eakins can't demonstrate that he can at least get them close to that, then I think they're going to move on.
Yep. So let's hit these ones kind of quick. Paul at Paul, who is a longtime listener. I think that he was back in the Mixler days.
Mixler, I'm 90% sure.
Yeah.
I keep saying 90% sure lately. I don't know. It's my number these days. Yeah. I'm 90% sure
he's asking,
he was in back then.
Can the Ducks put Shohei Ohtani on the top line? Go for it. He cranked out another home run today. He is insane.
What is he at now? Like 28?
I don't even know. It's stupid. Bonnie asks, why does Felix so Felixisly?
Wait, what?
Why does Felix so Felixisly?
I think you're gonna have to define your terms there.
Why are you?
Why am I me?
That is what
because
Bonnie's
I'm
asking.
Me. Like that.
There you go.
There's no other explanation.
I was trying to figure out how long I was going to be able to keep repeating
I mean, if you want to talk about it, we can certainly discuss, but I don't think a 5-minute Q&A is really going to do it justice.
That was just Bonnie.
I've got issues, Bonnie. Don't worry.
That's Bonnie being Bonnie. Mark asked, who will win the Stanley Cup and why is it Montreal?
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Say no more. Tough game one, but a lot of road left. I think they can still win.
Yep. Wicked Thorns asked, which player in the Ducks organization who did not play more than a few games for the Ducks last season do you think makes the roster if you had to pick one? That's an interesting question, actually.
It's a good question because it's something that we've talked a little bit about on the show or on the Patreon. It all blends together. I mean, we've talked a little bit about Jacob Perreault, what they might do with him next season, because I think for him it's either NHL or junior, right?
Yep.
And
the OHL announced today that they are coming back next year.
Yeah, with a 680 game season.
Yeah.
Did you see that tweet from John?
Well, I couldn't. So here's the thing with that tweet. I couldn't tell if it was the 0 was added by accident.
It definitely was.
Or if it was meant to be overall the entirety of the season is 680 games.
That's a good thought.
Yeah, I couldn't tell which way it was going with that. If every team or if all of it combined is 680.
Bold prediction: Braden Tracy makes the team.
Wow.
He's gonna be the Lundestrom. He's going to be the Lundestrom, and he's going to get some fourth line time.
Which player in the Ducks organization did not play more than a few games for the Ducks last season? Ducks, do you think...
you can go with Bo Gru if you want.
Yeah, Bo Gru, I think, is a good one, honestly.
I mean, he actually has a
legitimate case.
The Braden Tracy thing is more tongue-in-cheek. I could just see Dallas Eakins falling in love with the player because of how he performs in practice.
So I was looking for the joke of Vinny Lettieri or
and just circle back to we didn't have anyone to measure ourselves against, so that's why I thought
Cody Curran.
No, 0% chance.
Cody Curran gets in a game this next season.
Cody Curran will finish his contract without ever having played a game for the Ducks.
Cody Curran will get into one Ducks game. I'm
Yeah,
calling
I
it.
mean, I'm only saying that mostly sarcastically just because I think for whatever reason there's an issue there, but he has
No,
to play at some point. I mean, does Simon Benoit make the team out of camp? Because he didn't really play a bunch only towards the very end last year, and it was a little bit of a surprise. So maybe, I mean, here's another name that has been long forgotten, Brendan Gooley. I mean, is he going to be resurrected next season? Are they going to just dust him off?
cleared waivers. No one wanted him.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people cleared waivers this year. I'm not going to use this year's waivers as an example of anything.
Yeah, yes and no. I think a lot of guys. I think if you're looking at guys that have term on their
Well,
deals,
Brendan
sure,
Gooley was also coming off an injury.
true,
Like,
fair,
so I just don't think that was the time.
fair.
His stock is also, pitifully low right now, and that's probably part of it.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah,
at some point, maybe they want to see what they have in him because he's the other piece of that Brandon Montour trade.
yeah.
So,
Jensen at Sean by Few asked, does Gibson have a bounce back season, at least statistically?
well, if it's statistical, then it would be a bounce back season. But good question though. It's a hard one for me to answer because are the Ducks going to be better in front of him? That is the big question because over the last couple seasons, John Gibson hasn't really shown the ability to kind of rise above how the team is playing in front of him, at least not for extended periods of time. He can do it for stretches and then he just kind of fizzles out. And so I think it's going to just depend on how well the Ducks come out, how solid they can stay. And to be honest with you, don't 100% see that happening. I think he will be a little better just because it honestly can't get that much worse. But I don't know if I'm seeing this huge bounce back season. That being said, of course, the usual qualifier, goaltending is impossible to predict.
Yep,
But I,
goaltending's
I don't
voodoo.
I don't know if I see a big bounce back. Maybe you have a different opinion on that.
No, I agree. It's so hard to tell because I mean, the first month of the season, he was so good,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of fell off from there,
Just
and
never got back.
never
Yeah.
got back. And so, is he able to find that form and keep that up? Maybe.
Well, and also there seems to be a lot of kind of undertone of, well, part of the reason that he's not playing well is because he's just so frustrated. And, Dallas Eakins kind of alluded to that in his end of season press conference. There was the article from Eric Stevens about, is Gibson happy in Anaheim? And so maybe that's something that's just kind of burbling up to the
Maybe.
surface. But I don't know if I 100% buy that narrative that a guy, a guy can just because he's frustrated is going to be significantly worse than he's been in the past.
Yeah.
Goaltending is a weird position, and the mental game is definitely of utmost importance to goalies. But still, I think that if John Gibson was just John Gibson, he would be better than what we've seen the last couple of years.
Yep. So Twitch chat coming to you after this question. This will be a very quick and short one. So start throwing your questions into the Twitch chat. If you've posted one, can you just repost it for me so it's a little bit easier for me to find?
Lazy.
Just ease so that I can see the chat still going. Ethan McGarvey asked, did you guys buy your Perry jersey yet? Hashtag Perry is still good. So I have an update.
You did?
I didn't buy a jersey, but I bought a jersey.
A jersey.
And
yeah.
it will be here hopefully by early next week. Hopefully the Cup final will still be going.
I did buy a piece of Ducks memorabilia.
You did? Do you have it
Yeah.
there? Would you like to show the people, or is it not handy?
I actually don't. Oh
Damn.
man, this is a big L.
Oh,
so
you've already packed your hockey bag. That's right.
Yeah, I prepare.
Jess, you get to see it tomorrow.
The Ducks had their breakout night sale on Friday, and I perused through the list, snagged some Andrew Agozzino reverse retro gloves, those beautiful eggplant gloves. Only reason I bought the Agozzino ones, well, they were my size and also didn't have the stupid shot blockers on them. And I'm very thrilled. And also the Ducks were kind enough to package in some reverse retro like breakout night stickers in there. So there's the Wild Wing crashing through the ice sticker. There's a Mighty Duck sticker and a few others. So very cool. Jake didn't buy anything because he's boring.
I didn't buy. It's not that
We
I'm
could have been.
boring.
We could have been the two players on our team.
It's not that I'm boring. It's that no
gloves.
one has. I have small hands. I need a size 13 glove.
Yeah.
And even my Warrior size 13 are a little big on my hands. and
I just like loose fitting gloves.
Yeah,
I've always
no,
liked
my
loose-fitting
Warrior
gloves.
13s are loose fitting. If you go with a 4-roll, they're going to be looser fitting than a non-4-roll.
But they
glove.
are very nice. That the quality on them,
yeah,
and also these ones have like flexible thumbs. I'm very excited.
You know what bummed me out? I
Uh-huh.
got online and Troy Terry's gloves were still available, and
Oh,
they were Warriors, they were Alphas,
were
they're
were
my
they
glove.
signed?
No,
Okay.
they were
Yeah, mine
not.
aren't signed
They
either.
were not signed, but they were a size 14, and I'm a
Ooh.
little swimming in my size 13 already.
Uh,
So
yeah, mine definitely got used for like maybe a morning skate or two.
yeah,
They have somewhere, but very, very little. And
yeah,
also because of the protocols this year, they get like thoroughly disinfected or
yeah,
whatever. So
yeah. I really wish that I wore a size 14 because I would have been all over. You want to know? I actually searched through all the players because I got on a little bit late, and there were a lot
uh-huh.
that it was a lot were sold out.
Yeah.
There was one size 13 glove.
Oh.
Want to try to guess who it was?
Oh man. I feel like give me a hint on position.
Forward, winger.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go with Raquel.
No,
Who?
Volkov.
Really?
Yeah,
And you didn't buy him?
they were sold out
Oh,
already.
they were sold
They
out.
were
Okay.
sold out already, and also they were. I can't remember. They were like Bauer Vapors, which I don't personally like wearing.
Yeah. I mean I just bought him. I didn't even care about the model. I just bought him for the look.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie.
you're gonna.
Doesn't match our
It
uniforms
does not
whatsoever,
match our jerseys
but
at all.
it'll look good with the white
Does
jersey.
not match Modelo beer color.
You know what? It's fine.
Yeah. So here, let's get into the Twitch chat. So for those of you watching on YouTube, yes, we're on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/crashspawn. Yes, we actually have that domain. So just go to youtube.com/crashspawn to find us there. Subscribe. We're trying to get a lot more subscribers there. That's one of our big pushes. So please subscribe to the channel there. Watch our videos there if you can. If you listen also at your favorite podcast services, thank you so much for that. But the real fun thing is our Twitch chat, twitch.tv/crashthepond. You can help support the show at Twitch. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free Twitch Prime gaming sub each and every month. You do have to hit that subscribe button after 30 days, and you can help support the show. You get special badges in the chat, or special badges next to your name, special emotes in the chat. And it does help support the show significantly. And you can be just like Lewis X209, good friend of the show, Lewis, who supported the show and resubbed for 33 months is now where Lewis is at. So thank you so much. And our good friend Jess, ScienceCat108, resubbed for 9 months and also gifted out a sub to Cressy NB. So thank you so much for doing that, Jess. So here we go. Lewis X209 asks us, though, if you were stuck on a deserted island, what 3 things would you have with you and why?
You go first.
Oh, why are you throwing this at me first? I like throwing it at you first. Deserted island. So I
Cinnamon rolls.
Can I just say my cell phone so I could call for help?
I mean, honestly, that's probably a good answer. Although, what's the likelihood that you have service on this deserted island?
That's a good point, and so that ruins any use of
Oh,
the cell phone because
no, you should
can't play games.
just here's your 2 things. You say cell phone,
Flare,
international data roaming, so that you have service.
yeah,
And then like I don't know,
a flare
just
gun,
something, and then like a firearm. And I think you should be able to survive for however long it takes for someone to come rescue you.
Yeah. If we're not gonna go with that route, I'll go.
I mean,
I'll go.
You got to go with the basics. Something to make fire with.
Yeah,
Something to hunt with.
a lighter, well, see, that's not very specific to me. For me, I would go like a hockey
Do you want to
stick,
survive on this island, or do you want to like?
I just want to enjoy my time. Who knows how long I'm gonna last. I'm deserted on an island. At least let me go out having some fun.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. So
That's fair.
your 3 things. I'm just gonna say a hockey stick, a puck, and a shooting pad, and a goal. I'm going for a goal. The pucks don't count.
Something to make fire with.
Classic Nomad has the actual right answer.
3 bottles of whiskey.
Yeah.
No, that will not get us very far. I'm sorry.
That is the correct answer.
Something to make fire with, something to hunt with, and water. Drinking water.
Yeah. And then Ginger Wolf asks, when is Galimov gonna be in the NHL? So just looking at it, his KHL contract goes until the 24 season. So not for a long time.
Gonna be a while. Although those things can be weird though. Players get out of that.
True.
But not for a while.
Yeah. Sean Salisbury said, do you all think that Anaheim should have any interest in Mason McTavish if they keep their pick? Could be an interesting 2-3C down the middle.
Yeah, 2-3C. That's what you want with the 3rd pick. That's really what you're shooting for.
Did you see that Elite Prospects actually put out their draft guide? Did you catch this?
Yeah, so I mean, he's a good prospect. I'm being totally facetious there. Like he's a good prospect, and even like in Corey Proman's mock draft, he had him as a possibility there, and he does seem to be a decent kind of two-way center with some offensive upside. So
So
wouldn't be a terrible pick.
elite prospects have him as the 5th overall in their draft guide.
Yeah, so
Re-
like that's totally in line with kind of what I've read about him. And it would not be a terrible pick.
yeah. Classic Nomad. So I don't know if you saw this, but it was announced that Vegas is getting the next All-Star game. And so
Oh boy.
brought up the point that the Ducks have never hosted an All-Star game or a draft. So he asked, will the Ducks host an All-Star game in the next century?
Probably. I mean, if you're asking me for the next century, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they should. I think that they probably, once OC Vibe is done, they probably will.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So I think unless anyone else has any more questions, we'll probably start wrapping this up. Keep this a little bit on the shorter end. Like I said, I think we're going to be taking next weekend off. We will.
Yeah, 4th of July weekend.
Are we maybe going to be doing a watch along though on Monday? Isn't there a cup final game on Monday?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Pending a comeback in the series first.
There you go. There you go. So we'll see. So if there's a comeback, Felix, depending on how he feels, we may be doing a watch along.
I don't know. I'm a little downtrodden after tonight.
Wow,
So
really? It got you that far down?
well, it wasn't like an encouraging game. Like I don't know how much of it you watched, but the Lightning were pretty much in control the whole game. The expected goals were not that close.
So I was looking at that. It seemed like the big issue was penalties.
Penalties, but like this was part of the narrative for the Canadians is like when was that penalty kill going to regress back? And I mean that's kind of what happened. And so I'm just a little rattled, but it's okay. That's what happens. That's what happens when you're a fan. You wear your heart on your sleeve. But
Yeah.
I think they can still come back. I'm not wavering from that. But it was a tough pill to swallow.
Yep. Yep. I think it's fine. You'll be fine.
Hey,
I told you this on the Patreon episode. I'm going to say it again to you. Win or lose, as a Montreal Canadiens fan, you should not be bummed about this at all. Even though,
yeah,
obviously,
but
in the
when
moment,
you're this close,
when you're in the
you
moment,
want them to win.
yes, I get that. But I think a week or two later, you'll realize this was such like, with going through Toronto, they did not have high odds of doing that. And the fact that they've made it this far, the fact that they're in the Cup final, the fact that as a Ducks fan, I can tell you, making the Cup final on alone is hard to do.
Yeah. Look,
like
I 100% hear you, and I think you're right.
in
but
the moment,
I'm gonna have
it's
that.
tough. In the moment,
I'm gonna
it's
have
tough.
that view after the series.
Yeah, yeah,
right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
win every game.
Yeah,
Win every single game.
fair enough.
Anyway, different minds.
Yeah.
Different minds.
Just trying to help you out here. Trying to help you out.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. The support is definitely welcome and needed.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this week.
Yeah. So, want to start wrapping this thing up?
Yeah. So just like Jake was saying, we are gonna take next weekend off. So hope everybody has a great 4th of July weekend.
Definitely.
I mean, I feel like this is gonna be a pretty good one for a lot of people. With the pandemic kind of winding down, the world opening back up, it's going to be one that we can enjoy with our friends.
Yes.
So go out there, have fun, of course, be responsible.
Be safe.
Yeah, don't do anything stupid. Don't be like people that live on my street and just shoot out fireworks at like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
into the street. Not very smart.
Don't scare people's pets like that.
Yeah, that is not a good move.
Speaking of pets, realize that yesterday was the 1-year mark of us getting Salem.
Oh, well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Happy. What would be
I don't know what we'll call it.
Happy
It's not birthday, but
adoptiversary.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight, folks. Thanks so much for listening. Just going to give you a few quick ways here that you can support our show. One of the biggest ones and the one where you're going to really benefit from is our Patreon page. So patreon.com/crashthepond. If you enjoy what we do here on the podcast, well, you're going to get more of that through the Patreon page. So for $1 a month, you get access to our patrons only Discord channel. And that's where you can chat with other patrons, which are all just super friendly, diehard hockey/Ducks fans. It's a lot of fun.
It's my favorite place to talk hockey.
Yep, it's so much fun, and especially during the season, during Ducks games, just especially this last year, it was almost like a support group at times.
It was a therapy session.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at, the latest Derek Grant offensive zone start or the Jacob Larson turnover, whatever the case may be. It was a lot of fun. So that's for $1 a month. For $5 a month, you get access to two bonus episodes a month. And we actually did one this last weekend. We definitely went in depth on the Ducks as we do, talked NHL playoffs. And I think that as the season winds down, with that show, we'll be able to do some more deep dives on different topics, whether it's league wide or Ducks related. For $15 a month, you get access to two live watch alongs a month. So during the off season, it's the most relevant since that's what's going on right now. We're doing watch alongs of playoff games. So we've done Vegas, Montreal, and I'm pretty sure we'll do another one during the Cup final. And then as the actual NHL season ends, we'll probably do old Ducks games. We aren't 100% sure yet. I mean, maybe we'll do the draft in there. Who knows? Expansion draft even. But we've got some plans for that. And then during the season, this is really, I think what's fun about it is that so twice a month, we do an alternative feed basically to what you usually get from the Ducks broadcast. So you can watch the game with us. We'll give you live commentary, stats, just kind of a different tone to what you might usually get from a Ducks broadcast. And that's for $15 a month. And all of that is at patreon.com/crash the pond. Now, there's still many other ways to support us. If you don't want to make that monthly pledge, that's totally fine. Like Jake said, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/crash the pond. See the video version of this show. Make sure to subscribe there. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a rating and a review, we're rated on the show. And I think we have a new review this week, Jake.
We do. And by the way, I've mentioned this a bit. We're trying to get to 200 ratings. We're currently now at 199.
Oh,
so
baby.
The next person to give us a review/rating will become the 200th. And no one can take that away from you. So we got this one from Icarus Fox that said, best Ducks podcast, period. 5 stars. Says Jake and Felix are awesome at not only presenting updates and news about the team, but also offering fresh takes and raw opinions on the team and its direction. Keep up the good work, boys.
Yep. Thank you so much for that, Icarus Fox. And yes, Jake's opinions are definitely raw. Definitely needed some fleshing out at times.
Wow. Wow. Turning what was a really nice and like kind of heartfelt review and just making it a stab at me.
That's
on brand for you. On brand.
Just
on brand.
Honestly, just shooting for consistency at this point.
On brand for you.
If nothing else. Okay.
This is what I work with.
So on that note, you can also find us on Spotify, and also you can find our website, crashthepond.com. We've got articles going up there. CJ wrote a good article last week on breaking down the Jack Eichel kind of dilemma. Yeah, go check that out. Check out our shop, crashthepond.com/shop. We've got cool t-shirts, hoodies as the weather's warming up here, and will likely stay very warm for the next few months here in Southern California. Get yourself a t-shirt, rock it at your favorite gathering, at the beach, wherever. I think that
beer league game.
That's what I wore mine at my beer league game the other day. Got rave reviews. Everybody was asking me where they could get it. Jake, don't comment on that to verify whether or not that's true. Just know that I did wear it at my beer league game. Anyway,
I wore it to the pickup game I played in on last Friday.
There you go. So, and you can also find us on Twitter. Jake is on Twitter at ReindeerGames91. I'm on there at Felix_Sicard, and of course at Crash the Pond. That is going to do it for us tonight, guys, on this Monday. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Like we said earlier, hope you have a great 4th of July weekend. And if you're international, if you're outside of the U.S., hope you just have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Bye.